Well, hello everyone. We're going to get started in just a moment. I just want to give everyone a few minutes to arrive that was planning on being here. So, happy Wednesday to all of you. I hope the fall is treating you well. I know where I live here in northeastern Arizona, we literally fell into fall. Like literally from summer, from hot weather to the next day, it was really cold. So we've already had some hails and some snow in the area, which is kind of unusual for us. So anyway, we're a little curious to see how this winter is going to go. But yeah, I hope it's treating you all well. I know the fun part of this time of the year is really these holidays that we get to participate in and hopefully be with some family or people that we really love and hold near and dear to us. So let's see here. Okay. And just so you know, for some of you, I'm also going to be recording these and posting these on YouTube. So you can also find these there as well as Instagram. Don't know which social media platform you prefer, but just want to let you know that that's available. And I think we should probably just pop in and get started. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mara Salerno, and I am a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner of reclaimoptimalhealth.com. And I help couples resolve their infertility and really get back to that vision of their family that they were holding on to so dearly before they began struggling with infertility. So if that is you, then you're definitely in the right place. And my specialty really is in working with couples, though I do work with females alone as well. But we tend to get the best success when both man and woman do participate, as you can imagine, because it takes two to tango. And I know it isn't always easy to convince our male partners sometimes to really participate in the process of their health. It's not that they're bad people, it's just they're different. So learning how to navigate that journey is what I'm also there to help you with. So that's really who I am. Today we're going to dive into miscarriage. Obviously a huge topic when we're talking about infertility. And we're going to talk about kind of the lens that I look at miscarriage through and what I commonly see with my clients when I'm trying to look at the root contributors, trying to look as far upstream as possible as to what is really affecting miscarriage other than just your reproductive organs or your hormones. What is acting upon those that is really creating miscarriage? And miscarriage is just so tragic and unfortunate, as are all parts of infertility. And there's a number of reasons why. So let's get into that. Firstly, I want to say that with a miscarriage, the most important thing for you to do is to take time out for you once you've had a miscarriage. So this might be your first time miscarrying. For others of you, you may have miscarried quite a number of times. And I have clients that when they miscarry, all they want to do is just keep going, like try to get pregnant again, and go. And it's so important to take the time to let your body rest and rejuvenate. And not only that, let your heart have the time to digest, to process this life that you are carrying, regardless of how far along the way you were pregnant. So I want to say that first because I'm going to be giving you all these root contributors, but I think it's so important to take the time out to really give yourself space and acknowledgement for this life that was in your body, and acknowledge any emotions that you may have. And sometimes we just don't even realize. It's not like you need to make up emotions, but it's not like you need to make up emotions, but you need to really have the time to acknowledge what is happening within. So now, as far as the root contributors to miscarriage, commonly what I see being missed when it comes to miscarriage and infertility, especially recurrent miscarriage, is number one, looking at gut health. Okay. And the reason is because about 80 to 90% of immune function is secreted and produced and released in your gut. And so when we're looking at a stool test, for example, I like using the gut zoomer. There's also the GI map. I know some people like using Biome FX. But in there is a Sig-A marker. And Sig-A in the gut is your immune system response, basically. And so a lot of times what I will see in my ladies that are miscarrying, oftentimes it's that they have really high Sig-A levels. And that's if they've been taking pretty good care of themselves. So their body is mounting this huge attack, like there's an invader in their body. And as a result of that high immune system response makes it very difficult to maintain a pregnancy, or I should say, bring that pregnancy into full conception and hold it in the body, because the immune system is basically attacking at a rate that is way too much to be able to maintain life in the body. Now, why would that be happening? That's really what we have to start digging in about. One of the reasons I commonly see is obviously food sensitivities, because what happens is when we have something that's called leaky gut in your gut, it's literally leaky. This is where in your small intestine you have like these tight junctions. They're kind of these lock and key places within the tube of your small intestine, and they literally begin to separate. And when they separate, what happens is that pathogens are more likely to drop through, which then drops through to your bloodstream, as well as food particles. And neither of those things should be taking place. So when that happens, your immune system wants to mount an attack. So when we're talking about food sensitivities, if you're eating, it could even be healthy foods, okay? It could be things like broccoli, it could be salmon, it could be beef, it could be an apple. But if they're foods that you eat quite frequently and you've got a leaky gut, your you're not chewing it well, you're not breaking it down well, and now you've already got this leaky gut. Well, it keeps dropping through, and as it drops through, your immune system then tags that food after it happens enough times, and then it tags it with an antibody. And one of those is actually the IgG, and one of them is the IgA antibody. But my point in telling you this is that food sensitivities can be heightening the response of your immune system when that really shouldn't be taking place in your body. And as a result, that Sig-A marker on your stool test could be really, really high because you've got some food sensitivities that you need to address. So that's one of the big ones that I typically see. Now, The other one that I just mentioned when I was talking about leaky gut and pathogens or food particles coming through is the pathogens. Okay. So pathogens could be anything from bad bacteria, viruses, things like candida, H. pylori, I mean, worms, you name it. Okay, parasites. I think I just said that. But all of these pathogens basically place your immune system in like a chronic response because your body is realizing that there is an invader and that this needs to be addressed. So it's like fighting, it's mounting this attack. Your SIG-A is up, it's really high, but your body is not able to fend it off. Well, why would that be? Well, it's not able to fend it off because you've got all these other stressors involved, like food sensitivities and who knows, autoimmunity, which I want to talk about in a moment, or a very stressful lifestyle, or really poor food habits, etc., etc. So all of this will make it difficult for your own body to be able to fight back. Plus, you haven't remedied the leaky gut issue. So this is why it's really important for you to take the time out and really utilize a functional approach, because it's going to be difficult to win this battle of stopping the miscarriages to create a successful full-term pregnancy without addressing these root contributors when we're talking about your immune function. Now, with autoimmunity, I almost feel like the name in itself is telling you what's up. But with autoimmunity, what happens, it's when your body begins attacking itself, okay? And that could happen for a number of issues, but there's basically 3 legs of the stool when we talk about autoimmunity. And the 3 legs of the stool are a leaky gut, it's a stressful event in your life, and it could also be a genetic predisposition. Now, a genetic predisposition on its own will not lend you to having autoimmunity. But if you have one or both of the others, which is the leaky gut or the stressful life trauma that happens, then you're going to probably find yourself landing there. And for everyone, it's unique. But if you look back, and as I'm saying this to you, you think back in your life and you think back to when you kind of started feeling crummy, or, maybe you're experiencing secondary infertility, miscarriage. And if that's the case, then, you're realizing, wow, after I had my first baby, I, went through that terrible postpartum depression, and I was so exhausted. I wasn't able to bump back. All of those things could be possible triggers, and more, an accident, a fall, someone passing away in your family, etc., etc. So these are the 3 legs of the stool to autoimmunity. Now, typically what I am seeing is thyroids that are not well balanced. And that could mean a thyroid that is all the way into full spectrum autoimmunity, like Hashimoto's, for example. It could just be hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, or even just a thyroid that's slightly off. But, talking about autoimmunity, there's a full spectrum of autoimmune disorders, like celiac disease is another one. I will commonly see on that same stool test that I was just telling you about with the SIG-A marker, I'll commonly see as well a fecal gliadin or zonulin marker. And those 2 markers tell me a lot, and particularly about pesticides, but also about wheat sensitivity. So when I see that, and I see those really high, and then I see SIG-A markers really high, those are 2 fantastic investigative tools for me to say, if we haven't already, we should really run a comprehensive thyroid panel. And if you are not completely gluten-free already, we're going to want to do that. And being gluten-free is not just, removing the wheat pasta, but it's looking at barley, it's looking at all the grains, the cross-reactive grains like corns and, et cetera, as well as looking at your self-care products. And I know everything I'm saying right now can be kind of overwhelming for some of you. And so please don't feel like you have to do this all at the same time. Know that there's lots of people out there just like me who are here to support you. So don't feel like you have to do this alone. And remember that this is baby steps and it won't take eons like you might think it will. Okay, it really won't. But having support and moving through it is important because it is a huge lifestyle and mindset shift. Okay, so let's pop back to, the thyroid issue. So with fertility, your thyroid literally needs to be, I don't like using this word, but it's just the truth. It needs to be in like the optimal functional range, okay? Really needs to be in the optimal functional range. Because if you are not, that thyroid is part of your endocrine system, your hormone system. And if your thyroid is even remotely off, it's going to be difficult for your body to maintain a temperature of 98 degrees or slightly higher, especially during your luteal phase to help maintain that pregnancy, et cetera, et cetera. So I always recommend that everybody, if, finances are there, to run a comprehensive thyroid panel. And, that's going to consist of about 8 to 10 markers versus when you go typically to a conventional doc or your fertility doctor, they're only going to run like cherry-picked, they're only going to pick the cherry that, the specific ones that they want to run that they're used to typically running. And the results that are going to be received are going to be interpreted through a conventional lab approach, which is what the lab is giving your doctor to compare your results to. And those results from the lab are based on the homogeneous population, which means everybody else and their mother who has a thyroid imbalance, well, they're saying, you're within that range. Well, yay, that doesn't tell us anything, right? We need to know about your functional range. We want to compare you to those women who are fertile and healthy and help you move into that range. I hope that makes sense because that's actually a really big deal. Let's see. So does anybody have any questions about that before I keep rambling on here? It's like I could go on and on. So those are really the main factors that I primarily see when it comes to miscarriage. I see the leaky gut, the food sensitivities, the pathogens, the very overreactive immune system. And sometimes an immune system has been overactive for some time, for so long, that it's no longer mounting attacks. So sometimes I'll see the immune system really, really low, which is not a good sign either. And then, of course, any kind of autoimmunity or thyroid dysfunction. All of these affect the immune system. And when the immune system is overworked, irritated, or undervalued, basically, and kind of just giving out, that is when I typically see miscarriage occurring. So the good news, though, I know that can be a lot, but the good news is that you can do a lot about it. I just really highly recommend that you get good lab testing, good functional lab testing, and you work with a functional fertility practitioner like myself, and there's many others out there, so that you can get the help that you need to address these issues. Because if you've been having recurrent miscarriage several times, for me, honestly, after one time, it's enough. I mean, you don't want to be going through all of the emotional and spiritual challenge, really trauma of miscarriage if you can help it. And I wish that so many would go the route, this holistic route of addressing their fertility first before using fertility treatment methods, because it would really help to create greater success. Of course, there's no guarantee, but it would help to create greater success and less trauma, because I honestly do see and believe that less miscarriage would be occurring. So, hey, Tiffany, for those of you who are just joining us, we've been talking about miscarriage and the reason for miscarriage, talking about how the immune system plays a large role in this, and what are the key contributors to that. So if any of you have any questions about anything that I've been talking about thus far, please drop your questions down in the comments, and I'll be happy to address them. Otherwise, I'm going to probably start kind of wrapping it up here. When you go through my fertility success program, whether you go through that as just a female on your own or as a couple, the stool test that I recommend that you run is done in the very first stage of the program, because it gives us so much information and feedback as to how your immune system may be affecting and contributing to your infertility. So I do that in the very first step. And then as well, when we're very initially talking to see if we are a match, I'm able to determine if running a thyroid panel right there in the beginning would be a good idea. And I have to tell you, more and more, it's becoming kind of the standard for which I want to move initially forward with, especially my female clients, because so many of my female clients, even my male clients, are having such imbalanced thyroid, but particularly for my females, affecting their fertility and their hormones in particular. I want to really provide you guys with some value. So let's see. How long are we? And I don't want to hold you all for too long. Okay. So, the things that you can do is obviously, like I said, run a bunch of lab testing that is looking at your gut, looking at that Sig-A immune system function marker, looking at inflammation markers, looking at your overall health and lifestyle as well, okay? So if you've got that really high stress, high pace lifestyle, even if you're really happy, the go is a killer for your fertility. And your immune system over time will get activated by that. You have to be relaxed enough to hold the baby in you, not just to get pregnant. The other thing that I didn't mention that I'm remembering at this moment that is extremely important is egg quality. So sometimes I think it gets separated, egg quality from implantation. No. It's all together. We are one connected being. So your egg quality needs to be really, really rich and good. And that requires you to be eating a diet that's right for you, taking great care of yourself, et cetera, And it also requires of your partner to be doing just the same, because their sperm quality actually has an impact on miscarriage as well. So I was kind of focused more on the immune function dysregulation or imbalance in the beginning, but this is really important to think about as well. You know, everyone always thinks, oh, miscarriage is because of just the woman's body. I mean, honestly, that would make things easier if that was the case. But our guy's sperm actually affects the outcome of whether or not a pregnancy is going to, go into fruition, but also be maintained. So they're not out of the woodwork. And one of the common things that I see with my guys is they'll go and get a sperm test done, typically before I've met them, sometimes not. And even the sperm tests that I get back, the lab results will be like, oh, flying colors. Everything is beautiful, oh, you've got like powerful sperm, And they may have really, really great markers for their sperm, but one marker might be off. And in particular, if we're talking about morphology in particular, that's the shape of the sperm. That can really play a huge role in, the structure, the composition, the strength of that embryo or that fetus. So I hope that is helpful for you. And I hope my Instagram feed is still going here. Are we still alive? Well, there you go. That is probably my cue to stop. So I hope you all found this very helpful. You can find me on Instagram if you're watching this on YouTube. I am at Maral Salerno. That's MaralSalerno. And I'm there pretty much daily to provide you with valuable functional fertility boosting content. And I'm going live every Wednesday at noon, so you can find me here. You can submit your comments or your questions live. I also highly recommend that you submit them to me beforehand, because that may be the focus of the show and it may be very helpful for you. So you can DM that to me in Instagram, or you can email that to me as well, or you can drop it in the comments on this YouTube video as well. And if you want to schedule a qualifying call with me because you are ready to really get these questions answered in regards to miscarriage and your infertility in general, then you can either go to my link in my bio in Instagram, and you'll find a link there for the qualifying call, or you can go to reclaimoptimalhealth.com/schedule, and you can schedule a time to meet with me, and we can talk about how you can have your baby and what your struggles are and see if we are a match. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of this day. I'm praying for you all. And remember that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I swear. All right. Bye-bye.